Greetings. Thank you for joining today's program, the 2005 LeaderEthics Awards. We live in a time when the growing political divide seems to bring out some of the worst in elected leaders. In fact, it's becoming increasingly common for political blaming and finger pointing rather than problem solving with integrity. We're here today to recognize elected officials who chose a different path to exemplify ethical leadership in practice. These are officials who believe it is important to be truthful, to be transparent with public information, to be unifiers, and to also represent their entire constituency to the best of their ability. Today's topic could not be more timely. We also wish to thank our sponsors for helping to bring this program to you today. Dave and Barb Scogan from Festival Foods, Ann Bryce and Bill Haviland, Joe and Pat Heim, Tom Houlihan, and Suzanne Young. And now I'd like to turn the program over to the LeaderEthics Board President, Rusty Cunningham.
Thanks, Lee. It has been my honor to serve with Lee and other dedicated leaders to set a positive tone for democracy. Lee mentioned our 4 principles, and I would argue they're simple and they're straightforward. And honestly, it shouldn't be asking too much of our elected officials. We shouldn't have to put up with elected officials who traffic in lies, sow discord, or only listen to their base. During the last year, LeaderEthics has introduced you to experts on cybersecurity, safe elections, ideas for election reform, and many other provocative, informative topics. Topics like these aren't necessarily sexy, but they are terribly important for our republic. Democracy is a uniquely participatory American exercise, and that participation doesn't stop at the voting booth. A healthy democracy requires you to be informed, be vigilant about relying on credible sources of information, and to be inquisitive. Please participate. Our republic depends upon you. Now it's my honor to introduce the incoming president of LeaderEthics. He is one of Wisconsin's preeminent journalists. Before retiring in 2020, he served readers and communities as editor of the La Crosse Tribune and Wisconsin State Journal. Please welcome John Smalley.
Thank you very much, Rusty. Appreciate that. And hello, everyone. And thank you all for being with us on the call today. It's always such a treat when we can pause even for a few minutes to talk about the mission of LeaderEthics and the directions that we'd like the organization to go in the year ahead. And it's really especially nice, as Rusty just mentioned, to be able to celebrate and visit with our 4 award winners today. Really looking forward to that part of our program. I'm very pleased and humbled to be taking over as the LeaderEthics Board President, following in the very large footsteps that Rusty is leaving behind. I've joked around that it's kind of fitting that I'm following Rusty in this role because throughout most of our careers as journalists, I followed his lead as we both worked in and led newsrooms around the upper Midwest. Anytime I had a tough decision or a real dilemma to weigh, Rusty was the first person that I would call. So I want to be sure that'll be true in the year ahead as well. So I want Rusty to brace himself for lots of calls from the new guy in the president's chair this year. So my goal as board president will be primarily to support the excellent efforts by our executive director, Lee Rosh, who we just heard from, and the rest of the programming committee that works with Lee and others on the board to offer timely, quality, and really edifying programs for LeaderEthics members and others on a regular basis. I'll admit that it feels like our call for ethical behavior among elected officials is an impossibly big hill to climb at times. It does feel that way, but climb we do, rock by rock, step by step, chipping away, and we continue to educate the public in the best ways that we can to help citizens really understand and better engage with public life. That's really our goal. And honestly, it's a very high calling, and I feel privileged to be a part of the effort at LeaderEthics. I'm excited as I look forward to the year ahead with our organization and the public topics that we will no doubt be exploring. I'm also very excited to be able to work with the rest of the team of officers for this year ahead at LeaderEthics. Joining me as officers in this year will be Judy Nagel as our board vice president, Hope Clements will be the board secretary, and Brent Smith will serve as board treasurer. Rusty will be serving in the role of past president. My sincere thanks to each of these great partners for their willingness to join in and serve in this regard. It's much appreciated. And now, then, without further ado, it's my great honor and pleasure today to introduce to you our two LeaderEthics Award winners for 2025. And to keep things simple, they're both named Lisa. Imagine that. These two truly do fit the mold for the type of elected officials that we like to celebrate. Both are long-serving and trusted, hardworking public servants working as county clerks in their own Wisconsin counties. The two Lisas, as we've come to call them recently, really truly exemplify the spirit and the mission of LeaderEthics, along with clearly supporting on a daily basis what we call our four pillars, if you will, of our organization. These two are dedicated to truthfulness and transparency with public information, along with being a unifying presence in their roles, and they're being willing to represent the entire constituencies and not just select groups of their constituencies. Their actions and their activities have long been admired by the Wisconsin Elections Commission and many others around the state. Both of our award winners have a long history of speaking in public on election matters and consistently helping to educate voters about the process and getting deeply involved in state associations in order to improve our elections administration in our state. So now, please allow me to introduce each of our LeaderEthics Award winners for 2025. Following the introductions and a brief response from each winner, then the three of us will engage in a short conversation about key election topics going on in Wisconsin these days. So we'll go alphabetically. First, Lisa Freiberg. Lisa has been serving as the Fond du Lac County Clerk for 16 years, having first been elected in November 2008. Prior to being elected county clerk, she worked in the clerk's office for about 10 years. Like her counterpart in Rock County, Lisa has an impressive background of service with the state associations that involve clerks, that assist clerks really all around the state. Among many other association roles, Lisa is a past chair of the Wisconsin County Clerks Legislative Committee and continues to serve on that committee. In that role, she works closely with state legislators and testifies passionately on election-related legislation. As the chief election official of Fond du Lac County, Lisa oversees elections for 21 towns, 9 villages, and 3 cities. Fond du Lac County has a population of about 104,000, with about 64,000 registered voters. Along with working with the 33 municipal clerks, there are 11 school districts that have boundaries in the county. Way back in 2008, when Lisa ran for office, she ran on 3 main topics: being honest, fair, and hardworking. And while the voting methods in our state have changed a lot over the years, moving from punch cards to optical scans and many other technological advances, for example, Lisa's bedrock principles of honesty, fairness, and hard work have remained the same over the years. Lisa said what she strives for is that each eligible voter who casts a ballot in Wisconsin will have confidence that their ballot will count, whether it's cast by a mailed absentee ballot, an in-person absentee ballot, or on election day at the polls. Congratulations, Lisa, as a LeaderEthics Award winner for 2025.
Well, thank you very much. I am very honored that I was nominated, recognized, and I will be accepting this wonderful award. And so much thanks to all of you.
That's great. Thank you very much, Lisa. Appreciate that. And there's a picture of that nice plaque that'll be coming your way soon. So
beautiful. Looking forward to it.
Great. All right, and our second award winner, our second Lisa of the day, if you will, Lisa Tollefson, is the county clerk in Rock County, Wisconsin. She began her journey in elections administration as a town clerk in 2010. In 2015, she was appointed Rock County clerk. In her time as county clerk, Lisa has mentored and trained hundreds of poll workers and election clerks all across Wisconsin. She also works with state legislators to draft common sense election legislation. And growing up on a dairy farm in central Wisconsin, Lisa developed a strong work ethic, which enhances her commitment to fair, transparent, and efficient elections today. Lisa likes to say that her dad had a few sayings from back in the day on the dairy farm that she still follows even to this day. For example, the guy who never made a mistake never did anything is one of those sayings. And another is the often always true, never judge a person until you've walked in their shoes. 2 pieces of great advice from Dad there. As the chief election official in Rock County, Lisa oversees all elections for 20 towns, 3 villages, and 5 cities. Rock County has a population of about 165,000 and has 101,000 or so registered voters. Along with working with 29 municipal clerks, there are 15 school districts in the county that have their own elections as well. Lisa says this: I often remind my staff that we don't know what someone went through to get to our office today. I encourage others to give me their perspectives because I don't want to miss anything important. Indeed, that's a great way to run an office. Congratulations, Lisa, as Leader Ethics Award winner for 2025.
Thank you so much. I'm very humbled in receiving this. It doesn't just represent both Lisa's,
The two Lisas.
but it really exemplifies all the clerks in the state, what they're trying to do. And it's nice to be recognized for all that hard work that's going out there everywhere.
Oh, that's terrific. Thank you. And again, both of you are absolutely completely deserving of this recognition, and we're very pleased to be able to share it with you today. And Lisa as well, your plaque, we'll get that to you in Rock County here one way or the other before too long. So very good. Well, now we're going to take about 15 minutes or so and just have a chat, some pre-planned questions and a few free-flowing things that I'd like to just to pick the brains of these most excellent clerks while we have them available today for a few minutes. So let's just start with, everybody's aware, I'm sure, that we have an election literally right around the corner, and we certainly appreciate you two taking time out of your day. I know this is a crazy busy stretch for clerks all around Wisconsin in the final week before an election. So how about just as we're approaching April 1st and the spring election, kind of how is it going for you both? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? And any advice or suggestions for voters as they prepare to engage in this spring election?
Go ahead, Lisa. Why don't you start this time? We'll take turns.
There you go.
Okay. Sorry, I had a semi drive behind me, so I had trouble hearing. So I am seeing our clerks are looking, they're ordering extra ballots. They're seeing all this extra enthusiasm and all these extra ads in mail. I think this is going to be a very, very busy election. I think the turnout's going to be higher than we're initially expecting, and lots of questions about it.
Yeah. Lisa Freiberg, same for you, or what's it like in Fondy these days?
I hear the interest. We have several big school referendums on the ballot besides state, but I am not seeing the numbers in absentee voting like we're seeing statewide. And that's where it's, am I prepared for election day? I feel I am. And when I start second guessing, then I get myself stressed out. However, I know they're going to come out. It's just a matter of when. We just have a couple days left of that in-person absentee voting. But with these referendums, and I've been on to the media, we got an election in case they haven't turned the TV on and heard the ads. But yeah, it's we'll see what happens. But I truly believe we will see record turnouts once the day, as the day goes on.
And what would the context of that look like? For example, what is a typical turnout in a spring election, and what would you expect in this one by comparison?
In the past, a typical spring election, we were looking at that 25 to 28% turnout. I obviously got enough ballots for about a 60% turnout, depending on school districts, and it's just a lot of looking into going back to a lot of elections and everything, higher turnouts in the schools. But I'm still, right now, I'm thinking it's going to be in Fond du Lac County somewhere around 40% turnout. But I'm hoping the voters will prove me wrong. I always say that on the radio or to the media, prove me wrong and get those numbers out there for the county.
And what about Rock County? What are we looking at?
I'm actually seeing similar numbers and thinking similar numbers that Lisa is. We have some very high turnout municipalities that always have a ton of extras. I'm seeing the same numbers in percentages that Lisa's looking at.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I guess the Supreme Court and the school superintendent race are driving a lot of interest, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Another topic I wanted to touch on, this is kind of rewinding the clock a bit on this, but the stretch of time, I think from, 2020, 2019, 2020, through the fall of 2024, we know it was a challenging time for election clerks around Wisconsin. There was a lot of scrutiny, there was a lot of questions, there was a lot of rancor that went on. You all powered through that and really worked hard and kept your eye on the ball, I know. But I'm just curious, what does it feel like today? Have we turned any corners? What's the atmospherics like today for clerks out there around Wisconsin? Has it changed? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same? How are you feeling these days? And maybe Lisa Freiberg, why don't you take that one first?
Okay. We obviously, in my county, we're a very conservative Republican county. So I heard a lot of noise. I heard a lot of accusations. And actually, it started prior to 2020 a little bit with the concerns of elections and how they were run. Just began back to being more Republican county. Today, I still have the accusations to a degree, but I'm getting the communication and phone calls from voters. I heard this, I heard that. There was some talk this morning from another order from President Trump, and that was phone calls already this morning. And what are we going to do on Tuesday and everything else? And it's just calm down. And I said a lot of the things that were said by President Trump are things that are already in Wisconsin, especially like the part where absentee vote, all ballots should be voted or counted on election day. We do that in Wisconsin already.
Right,
but yes, it's still, I'm just more pleased that people are actually asking questions and not continuing on with the accusations, the lies, and the inaccuracies. And it's innocent people that just listen to this and hear it from who they feel are reliable sources. But so I think elections have come a little bit more that they actually know who the county clerk is and who runs the elections between municipal, county, more educated voters.
So you guys are borderline famous these days with as much media attention as clerks have gotten in the last few years. So, Lisa Tollefson, is it your experience? Has the waters calmed a bit yet, or what are you experiencing in your world?
Since 2020, yes, absolutely, they have calmed some. I think our voters are more savvy. They are willing to look at things and question them. It's like, is that really true or not? And I can tell that I get a lot of calls too. Can you explain this? How does this work? I'm glad that the voters are doing that and asking those questions when they question something. I think that's kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. An informed electorate is really what we all want, and we want people to be curious. And we always talk about sending people to the appropriate sources of official information and not getting sucked into any third party potential inaccurate or misinformation. But along those lines, what would you say, Lisa T, you go first on this one. What are the biggest challenges that you think clerks are facing today in Wisconsin?
They're more under a microscope than they've ever been. Always having to make sure they strive for perfection, but we're all human. I think that is the biggest piece. There's so many pieces of their job. Since I was a town clerk to now, I can tell you their job has doubled. The amount of work they have to do is doubled. All the checks and balances, all the extra pieces that are there. I think that is the biggest challenge to clerks right now is all that extra scrutiny and the pieces and the documentation they do with everything. It adds a lot of extra work, but it also documents everything really, really well. I think that's their biggest challenge.
Right. That's a lot of workload. That transparency takes effort and takes time and takes documentation. Lisa Freiberg, any thoughts from you on that point?
I think it's a lot of the extra work. In Wisconsin, the county clerk is the chief election official of their county. However, in other states, there is an election official that runs the elections. They're not the secretary to the county board or issuing marriage licenses or the contact person for everybody calling you when they need the contract that they're looking for. And every county varies with different duties that they do have. In Wisconsin, we have a county executive form of government, the administrator. Some county clerks are the coordinator for their counties. So they have additional tasks. And the sizes of offices. I'm lucky or blessed in my county. I do have 3 staff people in my office, but there's some counties where it is the county clerk and the deputy only. And somebody will say to me, well, that's just a small county. The procedures are all the same in every single county. So they are still overseeing or being the chief election official for, and some of those small counties, we're seeing more than 33 municipalities or whatever. So yes, there might be only a small portion of the amount of registered voters I have in my county, but it's still the same procedure. You still have to do step by step. You still have to put the ballot together, get the ballots run. So it is a lot of work. It's to me, it's satisfying and gratifying, but it's just not that easy, straight path to get to that end result.
Yeah, that we have this very diffused system, of course, in Wisconsin with 1,850 municipalities all running their own elections. And as you just pointed out, Lisa, we want them to all do it exactly the same way. We want uniformity and consistency, and to get that across 1,850 sites or jurisdictions is certainly a challenge. On those lines, what do you think? You both have engaged, I know, a lot with members of the public over the years in various forums in different ways. Are there anything that bubbles up to the top of your mind as the things most misunderstood, or things that voters or citizens are typically confused about that you hear questions about a lot? Anything that popped to mind there?
Machines.
Yeah, voting machines.
The voting machines. I had a clerk this morning calling about using the marking pens. Absentee voting, they think they're going to put their ballot into the machine. The miscommunication that it's called absentee voting, meaning you're going to be absent on election day. We are excusing you of your absence. However, you're trusting your elected officials from your municipality to put that ballot in the machine on your behalf. So just those not understanding the actual process and that's what comes to my mind. But mainly in my county, the machines and the modeming of the unofficial results on election night.
Right. How about you, Lisa T? Anything in Rock County that common misunderstandings?
It is so much that unofficial election night results, they are not official. We put that up to meet a state statute that we have to post within 2 hours of receiving those results. They are unofficial. We are going to go through everything again and certify it. And then the state goes through it again and certifies it. So it's getting checked 3 times at the municipality, at the county, at the state. There's a lot of checks and balances, and some people want that result immediately, but that verification takes time.
Yeah. For example, I think I'm ready in this, the spring election, I think the chair of the WEC has till May 15th, I think, to certify, to make it really final official after those canvases have all been done. Like you said, after all the counties have weighed in that by statute, I think May 15th. So it seems like a long time after the election, but that's kind of how the process works. Yeah. What about touching back again on clerks and your involvement in the associations? And I know that you're both very plugged into that network. What's the story these days on clerk turnover? Are there any concerns there? I know it seemed like a few years ago there were concerns as the temperature kept going up and clerks kind of started to say, I've had enough. Is there a problem with clerk availability, or what's the status on that? How about Lisa T? You take that one.
Did you say Lisa T? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. So right up to 2020, we did see, I think, a very large turnover in clerks. And one of the things that they were doing was having trouble finding clerks within their municipality. So a lot of small municipalities had elected clerks, so they can be elected or appointed. So a lot of them held referendums to switch to appointed so they can have a bigger base to pull from. And you're seeing a lot more clerks appointed than elected now at those town, village, city levels. What I'm excited about the new clerks that are coming in is that I call it a clerk gene. They have this gene that you can tell that they're going to make it. And I am really impressed with the ones that I'm seeing coming in, because I can see they have that clerk gene. They have that hunger to learn and to help their community. And it's really cool to see those new people coming in.
Yeah, that's great. Lisa Freiberg, are you experiencing similar things over there?
Yes, and I like how Lisa Tollefson just brought up the clerk gene, because I can certainly see the ones that don't have that. And we're just kind of, some of my municipalities, we're still working down the line to find that clerk gene. We got some time now after this election. I have a special election coming up in late spring, early summer yet, but to find that. I still have several of my towns that are still elected, and I am losing 3 very seasoned clerks, but it also is time for them to go. They've had enough. They're exhausted, and to see the next generation want to do it. We see it in the county clerks also. Actually, between 2020 and 2024, we had 10 county clerks retire. And currently, nothing against age or anything, because I'm right in that age category, but currently 37 Wisconsin county clerks are between the age of 55 to 67. So time will tell how that will even change on the state with county clerks. But the great thing is to see that gene coming in with the new county clerks that we saw coming in and still coming in with appointments and everything. We still are waiting for one more election in April, a special election, and then we'll have all, where we're at the time being and everything. But it's definitely a desire to want to serve. And serving is a big thing in these jobs. This is about serving and listening to people and being truthful and everything else. And it is definitely something that you want the desire to do it.
Yeah, what about keeping on that same vein for a minute, as experienced clerks like you two, what advice or sort of input would you give to a brand new clerk, somebody who's just coming on board, whether at the town or the community or wherever? What would your best advice be for a clerk? Lisa T., you go first.
So my husband was a town clerk. He just retired. And he always he's one of my people that I would rely on to help train new clerks, municipal clerks in our county. And he always said, give it 2 years. You have to get through a full cycle to kind of understand everything. And then all of a sudden it's all going to click. Mm-hmm. Ask questions, work with surrounding clerks. They're great resources. We've all been there before, but you will learn it. It just takes some time.
Yes. And Lisa, your thoughts?
Same thing. Communicate, ask questions. I've been working between new municipal clerks. I had one resign just yesterday. They're going to stay through the election, but and she recognized she is not fit for the job. But to ask questions, I always say, please ask questions before you do something. It's easier to fix it before it happens than afterwards. So asking questions, and we reach out even with the Wisconsin County Clerks Association. Don't be afraid to email somebody, pick up the phone and ask somebody the question. So and don't fall into the traps of inaccuracy or listening to people that don't know what they're talking about, trying to tell you this is how it's supposed to be on that level. Yeah,
that's really good advice. And that maybe tees up my last question for you two, and then I'm going to hand it back to Rusty in just a minute. Do you have any anecdotes or just any thoughts about, again, at LeaderEthics, we've talked a couple of times today already, our 4 pillars that we sort of stand on of truthfulness, transparency with public information, being a unifier, not a divider, and representing all of your constituents. Either of you, how does that reflect you? What do you think about that, and how does that play out for you in your daily basis in your office? How about Lisa F.? You go first on this one.
I've always gone with being respectful to whatever somebody is going to say to me. Take it in. You have to agree to disagree in some situations, and that's how I am. This is the people's office. They elected me to run the office. I will listen to concerns, but I will also stand up for the office because I am, or that person is one of the 104,000 people in this county. So it's being respectful, agreeing to disagree, having that open communication and just working together. And that is with the public, with the county board, with the municipalities, and anybody else that comes into my life, including our legislators. I've been always working with them, explaining why we continuously ask for Monday processing and working that way with that. That's how you have to do the job.
Right. And Lisa T., how about you? How does that play out for you?
So the 4 pillars, that's our job. I mean, that's what we do. We have to be transparent. We have to communicate. We have to be a unifier. We coordinate all of our municipal clerks, our school district clerks, with all our elections. We couldn't do our jobs without having all of those things in place.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you both. Congratulations again on being our award winners this year. You're both fantastic representatives and both fantastic public servants. It's been my pleasure to get to know you both a little bit. and I look forward to working with you in the future as well. So thanks again and congrats. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Rusty to engage with the rest of our program. Rusty?
John, thank you. And Lisa, boy, respectful, professional, transparent, doing all the right things, and being focused on service. Really impressive. So thank you very much for all your service. Now it's my honor to present our Legacy of Ethical Leader Award to Dale Schultz and the late Tim Cullen. I had the privilege of working with Dale and Tim during their time in the legislature, and later during their time together, one a Republican, one a Democrat, touring the state to promote common sense bipartisan leadership, including the need for fair maps in Wisconsin. Our first winner is Dale Schultz of Richland Center. Dale was elected to the Wisconsin Assembly in 1982, where he served until being elected in 1991 to represent the 17th Senate District. During his 32 years in the legislature, he earned a reputation as a consensus builder who could reach across party lines to get results. He's been recognized for his work on agriculture, insurance, and environmental issues. He was chosen as Senate Majority Leader after the 2004 elections. His experience in both houses of the legislature, as well as his time on the Joint Committee on Finance, helped make him an effective leader. Dale and his wife Rachel own a centennial 210-acre family farm in Sauk County. He is a licensed real estate broker and has taught a political science class at UW-Platteville entitled Citizenship and Practical Political Decision Making. Dale, congratulations. Please give us a few remarks.
Well, thank you, Rusty. I first of all want to say thank you to LeaderEthics and all who are involved for your great work. This is a task that is very much needed in our society, and I think you're doing a great job, and I'm humbled to be here today receiving this award. I also want to say to you, Rusty, personally, for everything that you've done during your career, especially your work with the Freedom of Information Council. Another very important effort in this state, because I think as we're learning every day the importance of information that is available, that is reliable, is absolutely essential to our democracy. And I believe that your efforts with your colleagues have been, a hallmark of what it means to be a Wisconsinite and to be a part of our great governmental tradition.
Dale, I appreciate those kind words. I have to tell you that I greatly admire the work that you are doing to push for stronger democracy. In fact, you and I cross paths relatively often on some of the initiatives that we're working on. You know, after you left the legislature, it would have been so easy to retire to the farm, check out, enjoy life, but you haven't done that. And I wonder, why is it so important for you to spend so much time fighting for democracy?
Because I see a crisis. We live in an age when we don't have this was dubbed originally, I think 20 some years ago, the age of information, and these days looks more like the age of disinformation, as Michael Crichton once observed during a speech to the Economics Club of San Francisco. And I wouldn't say that we are treated daily to a fire hose of information. It's more like a storm, because it comes in from every direction and it hits you without any warning. And so it is essential that we remember what is important for our government to function effectively. We need good citizens, and we need to have a way of showing them how they can meet the challenges that are a part of our daily lives in this storm of information.
Dale, could you please give us an idea of the initiatives you're working on? And fundamentally, is there hope that voters can take back power and take it away from special interests?
Yes, I would first of all like to answer that question by saying that I think we're going to meet the challenge, and we're going to do it because we have recognized that the more things change, the more they remain the same. At the founding of our country, citizenship was very important and was prized by the founding fathers and those folks who gave us what we have today. And we're lucky, and I think we know it. But I think it's important that we remind ourselves once every now and again about what is most important. And what I'm trying to do is to show people that that we must be engaged. And that I'm not just talking about running for office or supporting somebody running for office. I'm talking about being an active member of your church, civic clubs, reaching out to some of the nonprofits that are so important in our communities. Because when we do these things, we learn about our community, our neighbors, their hopes, their fears, and that makes an impression on us, and that helps us become empathetic. Then I think it's important that we remind people that they have an obligation to engage in rational discourse, because that's how we share the ideas and the feelings that we have. And then once we have done that and done that well, then I think it's important for us to step forward and show people what leadership looks like. And this is something that isn't just for people who've been elected to high office. It's for every single one of us. As has become popular to say now, if you see something, do something. And this is our opportunity to participate. And when we all do it, we're much better off for it.
Dale, you've always remained empathetic. You've been engaged in so many things and so many positive things that I think have set a great tone. Let me ask one simple question. Are you optimistic?
Well, I'm very optimistic. I love people. I regularly enjoy meeting with folks. I'm curious about them, why they think what they think, what they believe the future will hold. And, it doesn't matter whether they're young or old. I think people are just having a hard time coping with the change of circumstance that they find themselves in, the rush to adapt to new technologies and to process the ever greater amounts of information that's around us. But I think people are rising to the challenge. And if we give them the tools and encourage them, I think we're going to be a great society going forward.
Dale, as I introduce the next winner, may I please ask you what it was like working with Tim Cullen?
Tim Cullen was a special individual and somebody who earned a reputation for leadership, for caring about humanity, and I'm proud to say he was my friend. And our first interaction came when he showed up and announced that he was there to help me. And I thought that was a little strange. And then he explained that his career was greatly aided by Republican legislators who wanted him and his colleagues to succeed at the time that they were given the reins of power. And our friendship just grew from there. And when, from time to time things would arise, we would get together and he would have advice. We'd have a conversation and it would be clear where we needed to go. And of course, no time was more important than during Act 10 when we found ourselves alone in the Senate chambers in a dark room, wondering about what was the way forward. And he was always a North Star for me, and I think about him often. And I, as I said, just cherish every memory that we had together.
Well, you built a lot of great memories, and thank goodness you were both there during the dark times to help lead us to some daylight. We appreciate it greatly. Dale, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Our next winner is the late Tim Cullen. Tim started his political career early, winning a seat on the Janesville City Council in 1970, and then serving as a district director for Congressman Les Aspin. At age 30, Tim became part part of the Wisconsin Senate, where he served for 12 years during his first tenure, including 5 years as Majority Leader. Republican Governor Tommy Thompson kept a campaign promise to appoint a Democrat to his cabinet and appointed Tim as Secretary of Health and Social Services. In 1988, Tim began his 20-year private sector career as the Vice President of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wisconsin, retiring from that in 2007. But he wasn't done serving. He was elected to the Janesville School Board, and in 2010, he was again elected to his old Senate seat, from which he eventually retired in 2013. Tim authored 3 books. I'm proud to say I have them signed and in my bookcase. The books are Ringside Seat, Wisconsin Politics, the 1970s to Scott Walker, Disassembled, A Native Son of Janesville and General Motors, and Wisconsin Gerrymandering, The Fight for Permanent Fair Maps and Why It Matters. Tim Cullen died in December at age 80. His obituary said it well. Tim lived a life of service and believed deeply in democracy and in justice for the underprivileged and working class. Accepting on behalf of her father is Catherine Cullen Graft, an attorney from Janesville. Congratulations, Catherine.
Thank you, Rusty, and thank you to LeaderEthics. What an honor it is to accept this award. On behalf of my dad, and he'd be so proud to share this honor with his wonderful friend, Dale Schultz. First, you'll have to forgive me, but on a brief personal note, I really can't go on with this without saying how proud I am to be his daughter. I'm proud that he lived a life deserving of an award such as this. I'm so proud that he lived a life of service, both making an impact as a public servant, as you mentioned, and in his many, many causes that he pursued as a private citizen. I'm proud to have grown up watching him help others, which always seemed to be something he regarded as a calling and a duty, not as a chore. He's someone who cared deeply about his community and stuck his neck out at every opportunity to fight for people and for causes that he believed in. It's really rare and special to see that firsthand. Someone spent their whole life really trying to make their community a better place. And I'm really as lucky as they come to have grown up watching that and to share in those conversations and endeavors as I did when I grew up. I think now more than ever, what you guys are promoting here is ethical leadership is a cause worth fighting for. And it's something that he led his life fighting for. And I can tell you, all of his beliefs aligned with what you're promoting here today. So I want to thank you and want you to know how much this means to me.
Well, your pride is very, very well founded. He was a terrific role model for those who are interested in public service. I'm curious, how did his service shape your personal life as well as your career?
Yeah, he's someone who always believed in the next generation of public servants. He always found the time to help out anybody who reached out to him, whether it be a kid or somebody starting their career in public service. And that always encouraged me, of course. But I would say that he's not someone who, he showed, he didn't tell. I watched him walk the walk. It never felt pushed to enter a life of public service or anything like that. I watched him donate his time and his money and his voice to causes that he believed in throughout his life. And that passion wears off on you, certainly. I try to live my life helping others, get involved in different causes in my community I believe in, and live a life of service generally.
That's really a terrific story. I worry about attracting strong candidates during such a contentious time. Now, I'm a fourth-generation journalist, and I know what it was like answering the phone at home with a high-profile parent. So I would ask you, as the daughter of a prominent politician, did that bring some challenges for you?
The good and the bad, certainly. I do relate to that a little bit, what you're saying there. That's funny. This is something I was, maybe a little more self-conscious of when I was a teenager, and something that I'm deeply proud of as an adult. I've moved back to the community, Janesville, that I grew up in. And, knowing that a lot of people have a preconceived idea of who I am or what I believe in. And to that, I say good. He was really not afraid to speak his mind on controversial topics, and stick his neck out for people and folks and causes that he believed in. And that can make a lot of people uncomfortable. But I think having those conversations and finding those areas we all agree upon is where stuff gets done. And I think there's a lot more that we agree on when we get down to our core. So it's, I think, it's at the core of what LeaderEthics is doing here today, and it's the core of what he led his life doing.
Terrific. Well, thank you and congratulations to Dale Schultz, to Catherine and the family of Tim Cullen, who are winners of our Legacy of Ethical Leader Award. Now it's my privilege to reintroduce the founder and executive director of LeaderEthics, Lee Rosh.
Well, first of all, congratulations once again for this recognition for your ethical leadership. This is precisely the kind of ethical leadership that we need to promote and support in an ongoing way. Let me give you a little information about an upcoming program we have. On April 23rd, LeaderEthics will feature an organization called the Civic Courage Lab. It's a Colorado-based organization that provides support for public officials who are facing these challenging times and is providing the technical support to help them to be successful. The director, Skippy Massarow, is going to be providing information about their efforts. Then he's bringing in 3 clients, and so they'll have an opportunity to share their experience and their insight with that effort as well. Again, I want to thank everyone for being part of today's program, and thank you once again, and congratulations to our recipients. Best wishes. Have a great afternoon.